So guys, that time of the week again, back for our championship score predictions. Let's jump into this one. Guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. Now, it feels like absolutely ages since we had a full fixture list in the championship to go ahead and predict, but we've got all 12 games coming at us this weekend. As always, get your score predictions down below if you want to get involved with the prediction league. Also, leave a like on today's video if you'd like to see a bonus upload coming out over the weekend, if you want to see like sort of a transfer deadline day special, because I feel like there's going to be quite a lot of activity coming up. But before we do jump into anything though, let's give a big shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball. As always, you can find the new OneFootball app in the top line of the description down below. Now, like I say, I feel like over the next couple of days especially, the championship transfer window is going to get extremely hectic. So if you want to stay on top of everything, OneFootball's the place to go ahead and do that. Michael Preston's already lost a couple of players today, Ben Pearson and Darnell Fisher, but we'll discuss them in just a moment. But if you want to get live updates to your phone and all that good stuff, OneFootball's the place to do it. And before we do jump into my score predictions, let's take a look at the prediction league. So coming in at the top of the main prediction league, it is Jack Bullymore, sat there with 35 points. He's looking strong at the moment. The League 1 prediction table to the side of me is incredibly close. Top of the table 23 points, bottom of it 21 points. And then the League 2 prediction league follows on with that similar trend as well. So if you've not already got involved, there's still loads of time to catch up. But without any further ado, let's jump into this one. So let's start out with tonight's game that sees Reading going up against Bournemouth, and Bournemouth fans are... You've stole our best player. I'm really good that Ben Pearson's left, but realistically this one was always on the cards with his contract running down. Now, I'm interested to see how Bournemouth actually look to accommodate Ben Pearson into their side long term, because for the majority of the season so far they've been playing that sort of wing-back system with two midfielders. They got a lot of quality in that area now, you know, who are going to be the main two. You know, you've got the likes of Jack Wilshere, Jefferson Lerma, Lewis Cook, Ben Pearson now who's coming into it as well, Billings and other options. So Bournemouth, I wouldn't be all too surprised to see them angling more for a three-man midfield in the second half of the season, just because they've got so much quality in that area now. But they're not exactly on the best of runs in the championship at the moment. They're without a win now in their last three matches. However, they did win in the FA Cup in midweek, getting their way past Crawley. Now, Reading themselves, a bit dodgy last time out. Lucas Jowl missed a penalty and the golden opportunity to give them all 3 points against Preston, but their home record as of late has been pretty impressive. But the one reservation that you probably have about Reading is their record against the top six hasn't been sparkling so far this season. I think it's only Watford out of the current top six in the championship that Reading have actually beat. I think the reverse fixture earlier on in the season, Bournemouth won this one by 4-2. So tough game to call. I don't think there'll be all too much in this one. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I don't think that Ben Pearson can actually play this one, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. FIFA's going 1-0 Reading. Next up, let's go to Carrow Road. We've got Norwich going up against Middlesbrough. Now, Middlesbrough's last game, they'll probably see that one as quite the missed opportunity. To lose 3-0 against Rotherham in the fashion they did, with the current run of form that Bournemouth are currently on, that was a real opportunity for Middlesbrough there to close the gap on the top six above them. Now, Middlesbrough, similar to Bournemouth, have also poached one of Preston North End stars. Darnell Fisher has made the move over to the Riverside. Now, I'm really puzzled about this one, that with the fact that we've actually let him go. I think that Middlesbrough have got a decent player on their hands there. Yes, he can be quite inconsistent, but championship level no doubt, and I think you've got a really good deal there. Going up against this Norwich side is going to be tough though. One thing that could play into Middlesbrough's hands is Norwich's current injury situation with their strikers. Now, we saw Jordan Hugill go off injured in their FA Cup game against Barnsley. I'm interested to see what level of fitness each of their strikers are now at. You know, how will Pukki and Adamida be back in time for this one, or will Jordan Hugill have recovered for it? Because that will have quite the impact on this game. Saying that, I am going to back Norwich for this one. I'm going to go 2-0 to the home side, with FIFA saying 1-0 Middlesbrough. Next up, let's then go to the St Andrews derby. We've got Birmingham going up against Coventry. Now, Coventry picked up an absolutely massive result in midweek, 2-0 against Sheffield Wednesday, takes them further away from the relegation zone. Victor Gyökeres getting his first goal for the club since joining them on loan as well, and all things considered, a massive result. For Birmingham, they really aren't in a good moment at this point in time. Their home record especially speaks for itself at the moment. They've scored 1 goal in their last 5 home matches. Their last outing against my side, Preston North End, where I mean, they had a couple decent passages of play, but ultimately, once that first goal goes in against them, their heads drop, and there really does seem to be a lack of belief with this Birmingham side, especially when they play at home at the moment, which has been the strange thing. I have the feeling this one's going to be a fairly low-scoring game, a 0-0 or something like that wouldn't surprise me, or a 1-0 either way. I'm just going to edge Coventry for this one. I'm going to go 1-0 to the away side, with FIFA agreeing with me. That's an absolutely huge game in Birmingham season, though. Next up, let's then go to Ewood Park. We've got Blackburn going up against Luton. Now, Blackburn have Brentford have been a tough side to predict lately. Their performance levels haven't been ridiculously high, but they're on a steady run of form at the moment. It was a good result last time out at the Riverside, beating Middlesbrough by 1-0. Lovely goal scored on the counter-attack there, and that's probably where Blackburn have actually been the best so far this season. When they're breaking fast, it was a lovely goal, and they could have had a few more goals from similar breaks like that in the second half. Now for Luton, they got pretty unlucky in their last championship game, I thought, against Brentford. They can be a little bit unpredictable when they play on the road, but they lost that 1-1-0. Second half especially, they were really piling on the pressure going forward, but Brentford just about managed to stand strong. I think this one could be a fairly open game of football and really could swing either way, depending on who takes their chances. I'm just going to edge Blackburn for this one. I'm going to go 2-1 to the home side. FIFA saying 2-0 Blackburn. That one really could go either way. Next up we then go to Brentford up against Wycombe. Now Brentford's game in midweek, Brentford fans will probably still be scratching their heads thinking how they didn't win that one against Swansea. Loads of the ball in that one and quite a few chances as well. As soon as Foster gives them the lead, you're thinking finally they've made that breakthrough, but Conor Hourihane comes up with his moment of quality to 11 for Swansea just moments after. Now up against Wycombe, they made it difficult for Brentford in the two meetings that they've had so far this season. They made way back at the start of the season in the Cup. That one finished 1-1 after normal time, and then Brentford went on to win it at penalties. At Wycombe earlier on this season as well, this game finished as a 0-0 draw. So the sort of style of play that Wycombe go for has nullified Brentford on the whole for the season so far, so Brentford will have to look for a little bit of a way around that, obviously. Still on this absolutely fantastic unbeaten run at the moment though. 17 games is absolutely magnificent for this Brentford side. I mean, it would be typical if it was to come to an end at home to Wycombe with sort of a 1-0 Wycombe win or something like that, but for Wycombe, it's looking like a real challenge for them from this point onwards. They do have a couple of games in hand on the teams above them, but they are now 10 points from safety. Will that change in this one? I'm not sure. I think that Brentford's quality may come through, but you can never really afford to write this Wycombe side off. Saying that though, I'm going to go 2-0 Brentford, and FIFA's going to agree with me. Next up, let's then go to Cardiff. Now, Mick McCarthy's tenure at Cardiff got off to quite the entertaining start, I think it's fair to say. That 2-2 draw against Barnsley. Now, defensively, I don't think that either side covered themselves in glory, but given the fact that they came from 2 goals behind in that game, showed that they had a bit of backbone about them, something that I think, to be fair, has probably been lacking from this Cardiff side so far this season. Going up against this Millwall side, who they themselves have had a pretty uninspiring season up until this point. To be fair to them, some of their best performances as of late have come away from home, thinking back to that win against Huddersfield, the win against Bristol City, and the draw against Bournemouth as well. So for a score prediction, I don't think there's going to be all too much in this game either, to be honest with you. I think they're probably two sides who are pretty much underachieving so far this season and won't want to give all too much weight to the opposition. I'm going to go for another draw in this one. I'm going to go for a 1-1 with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Millwall. Let's next go to Derby. They're going up against Bristol City. Now, Derby are probably one of the most unpredictable sides to predict in the Championship at this point in time. It's impossible to call them. Now, the last 4 matches have all finished 1-0. Which way it's going to go, though, it has always been the difficulty. They lost 1-0 against Sheffield Wednesday and Rotherham, then followed it up with 2 fantastic performances against Bournemouth and QPR. Now, Bristol City will be quite the test. They have reacted well to that loss against Norwich. Jeju with another brace in midweek. He's on absolute fire for Bristol City at this point in time. I'm really interested to see how his whole contract situation is solved, even by the end of this window or by the end of the season. Bristol City fans, I'm sure, are very keen to keep hold of him. I don't think there's going to be all too much in this one. I think whoever scores first probably goes on to win this one. Saying that, a 0-0 draw also wouldn't surprise me. Derby, it wouldn't surprise me if this game, it was another one where Derby played really well, put a lot into it, and then Bristol City pop up with a late winner or something like that out of nowhere. I'm going to go 1-0 Bristol City. I've got a bit of a gut feeling in this one. FIFA said it'll be 0-0. That one really could go either way. Next up, we then got Huddersfield going up against Stoke. Now, neither side's on a particularly great run of form at the moment, so 3 points is quite the much needed boost for each team. A draw doesn't really do either of them any favours. Stoke now are without a win in their last 6 matches, and Huddersfield have lost their last 4, obviously. We just touched on Huddersfield's last game against Bristol City. Stoke, who last time lost against Watford in this sort of winless run for them, there have been quite a few draws sprinkled in there, but ultimately their aspirations come the end of the season were to be within and around the playoffs, and to be fair to them, they have been in that bracket for the majority of the season so far, but with this current run, that's ever so slightly just starting to slip away from them. So for a score prediction, listen, this one really could go either way. I'm gonna edge Stoke for this one. You know, I think that when it comes to it, they may end up having a bit more quality, so I'm gonna go 2-1 to the away side, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Huddersfield. Wouldn't be surprised to see maybe Huddersfield taking the lead and then Stoke turning up for the second half. We'll see though. Next up, we then got Nottingham Forest going up against Barnsley. Now, the bottom of the Championship at the moment is just so interesting. You really can't call it. I think with the top 6 we got a little bit more of a clear understanding in terms of who's going to be there come the end of the season. With the bottom 3 at the moment, with the sort of teams that are down there and the fact that other sides have games in hand on things like that, I've got absolutely no idea. So every game from now to the end of the season is absolutely massive for Forest, whose good run has been halted recently. Obviously, they lost their last championship game against Middlesbrough and then got absolutely, dismantled by Swansea 5-1, although there was a bit of a dodgy penalty given in that game. Back to league action now. Barnsley themselves don't find themselves on the greatest run of form at the moment. Obviously, they've been quite disappointed with that midweek draw against Cardiff, considering that they were 2-0 up in that game. But if you actually look into Barnsley's recent fixtures, they've had a tough fixture running, to be fair to them. So this sort of game could be a decent opportunity to get back to winning ways, but I wouldn't be all too surprised to see them end up maybe cancel each other out. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game. FIFA's going to be back in Forest for all 3 points with a 1-0. Next up, we then go to Rotherham up against Swansea. Now, Rotherham are a side who you really can't afford to write off at this point in time. Still got games in hand and on a decent run. They're now unbeaten in their last 3. They've scored 6 in their last 2. I mean, the 3 goals they put past Middlesbrough probably helped them a little bit defensively, but they've been an effective side as of late, Rotherham. It's low possession, effective football. Previously to this decent run that they've gone on, they'd only won 1 of their last 9 matches, so this upturn in form really has come at just the right point of the season for them. Matt Crooks very much their informed man in front of goal at the moment. Giles scored in midweek as well. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do in the second half of the season. Quite liked him at Coventry, but this Swansea side also can't be taken lightly. They probably did get quite fortunate. I think that a lot of Swansea fans will admit that in midweek with the draw they got against Brentford, but come the end of the season, that point could turn out to be absolutely crucial. And we said it at the time when Conor Hourihane signed for Swansea, he will come up with these real game-changing moments of quality, and that's what he did from the set piece that got them back into it. So for this game, I would like to say that there'll be quite a few goals in it. I know that Swansea have been brilliantly defensively so far this season, but Rotherham have been really clinical lately. I'm just going to edge the away side, but I think it'll be quite a competitive one. I'm going to go 2-1 Swansea, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-1 draw. Going up next, we then go to Hillsborough. We've got Sheffield Wednesday going up against Preston. Now, myself as a North End fan, I'm still recovering from the day I've had here with Ben Pearson and Darnell Fisher departing today. We're still waiting on news to see what's going to happen with Ben Davis for the remainder of this transfer window. So listen, it's been a really hectic one for Preston so far, and what we've acted on mostly have been loan transfers in terms of incoming so far. Obviously Ben Whiteman, really good one to get long term into the club, but I think in the summer we're going to have quite the rebuilding job to do. I think that short term will be fine despite the quality that we've lost in the squad, because our recruitment's been decent so far. Last time out against Reading, Iverson I thought was a real standout performer in net, really good performance from him. Balumbi I think is getting better the more and more I see of him. So there are positives and there is still quality in this squad despite obviously the players that we have lost recently. However, bit of a tough game to predict this one. Sheffield Wednesday have actually only played 2 matches in January in the Championship. A win and a loss for them. It was a bit of a disappointing one. The game they had against Coventry midweek, just 1 shot on target for that game. One of Preston's, probably one of the few decent performances we had post-lockdown last season was away at Sheffield Wednesday actually. We were really good hitting them on the counter-attack. Earlier on this season we did beat Sheffield Wednesday 1-0 as well. There wasn't really all too much in that game. Red card early on for Josh Windass. But for a score prediction this time round, I don't feel too bad getting into this one. I'm going to go 2-0 Preston, and FIFA's going to agree with me for that one, but let's see. And as our last game to go ahead and predict, on Monday night we got Watford going up against QPR. Now, for seemingly the first time this season, Watford have got a bit more consistency about their play. They're unbeaten in their last 4 matches, won 3 of those games. The last game, albeit did fizzle out a little bit, that one finished goalless, but they look to put that right at home, where they have been very strong so far this season. QPR, very hit and miss side this far into the year. However, the one thing that you would point towards that is keeping them above the dotted line at this point in time has been their away form. They're unbeaten now in their last 5 away matches in the Championship, and they've had some difficult games sprinkled in throughout there. Thinking back to that draw they got away at Norwich, which turned out to be a really good result for them. They've won their last 2 matches on the road, so I don't think that Watford by any means will have this one all their way. But saying that, I think they may come through it just with that extra bit of quality. We'll see if someone like a Charlie Austin can make all the difference for QPR, but ultimately I think that Watford probably win this one. Really tight around the top 2 at the moment. They're now level on points with Swansea, but obviously Swansea have that game in hand. I'm going to go 2-1 Watford for this game, with FIFA saying it'll be 2-0 QPR. But guys, there we have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. So as always, if you did go on to enjoy it, make sure to leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. And make sure to get your guys' score predictions in the comments down below for a chance to get involved with the Prediction League. Loads of fun. And as we're quite early on into it, if you've not already entered, there's loads of time to be playing catch up and get yourself onto the leaderboard. But apart from that, thanks for watching guys. Make sure to stick around and subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.